Before you meet this year's inductees, we are pleased to welcome several current Hall of Famers who are in attendance today. From the class of 1993, Alonzo Alexander. From the class of 1974, Glenn Benke. From the class of 1990, Megan Allen Gossett. Track and field and cross-country coach, Frank Grammarosa. From the class of 1969, Ed Jackson. From the class of 2002, Sue Denegris Kane. Softball and men's soccer coach, Jim Kalawiak. From the class of 1964, John Novak. From the class of 1990, Susan Baim Randazzo. Special inductee, Dr. Ken Sanders. From the class of 1948, Dick Smith. And now, ladies and gentlemen, will you please join me in welcoming our 2014 Hall of Famers. From the class of 1980, Tim Ellebrock. Unable to join us today, from the class of 1983, Dan Mueller. From the class of 1994, Andre Coleman. From the class of 2001, Amanda Talley. From the class of 2002, Amanda Orsburn. Being inducted today posthumously, swimming coach from the class of 1948, Dr. Eggert Geary. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rick Spencer, Vice President for Institutional Advancement.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's awesome to see a great crowd, alumni, faculty, students, friends, teammates. It's really cool. I'd like to welcome you to the annual induction ceremony for the North Central College Athletic Hall of Fame. We're excited to have you here to celebrate the contributions of these fine, well, great individuals to the success of athletics at North Central College. We established this recognition in 2004 to honor the important role of student athletes in campus life and in the history of the college. This history includes an Olympic gold medalist, participants in the Pan American Games, 30 team national championships, and 120 individual national titles, and maybe most impressively, 305 academic All-Americans. North Central College enjoys a rich tradition of excellence both in the classroom and on the playing field, a tradition continued throughout our history. I'd now like to introduce our President, Troy Hammond, who would like to share a few words.
Thank you, and a huge welcome to all of our Hall of Famers today. It's great to have you here. I have always been an avid sports fan. I grew up in a household with a father who was a sort of a Mr. Everything when it came to athletics. And we not only participated in lots of different sports, but we were always cheering for one team or the other. Every sport there was a favorite team, and being a fan of athletics was just something that I was brought up with from a child. And the moment I got here 2 years ago as the president of North Central, I immediately became the biggest Cardinal fan in the world, I assure you. It felt good then, it feels even better now. Our teams are doing great this year, as always. For 5 years in a row, we've been in the top 25 of something that's called the Learfield Directors Cup. This is the best metric we have of assessing our overall athletics program here at North Central. Top 25 nationally out of between 400 and 500 Division III programs. It really says something about not any particular sport, but the whole program of athletics at North Central College. This year, our men's cross country team is ranked number 1 in the country and has been for 4 straight weeks. Our women's team has moved up and is now at the 21st spot nationally, a season high. Our football team is currently ranked 12th in the nation, and we look forward to a great homecoming game this afternoon. Hashtag beat Carthage. Last fall, we won our 8th straight CCIW conference title and made it all the way to the national semifinals, losing a heartbreaker in a snowstorm by a point. And we continue to think about additional opportunities for sports as well. In 2016, we will become the 2nd Division III institution to offer men's volleyball as a varsity sport. Our head coach will be Kyle Exline, a former D1 player with coaching experience at the D3 high school and club levels. Some other highlights, our softball team ended the series just one short win away from that softball World Series, but had a fantastic season. We had 10 All-Americans at the Division III National Championship in track and field. I take personally great pride in what Division III athletics means and what it means to North Central College. It really puts the student athlete at the heart. The leadership development that our student athletes receive in their time at North Central is phenomenal. We have over 20 of our faculty have dedicated themselves to be mentors to our athletic teams, to make sure that they're succeeding both in the classroom as well as in their athletics. And that's just that's really important. That's really important about athletics here at North Central College, and it's really important when high school kids are visiting our campus, being recruited, interviewing with coaches, meeting with them, understanding that they're going to get a fantastic education as well as an outstanding athletic experience here is just the most important thing. And so we're really proud of this program here at North Central College. I'm not a prolific athlete like the men and women of our North Central's Athletic Hall of Fame, but as I stand here today, I do wonder if there should be some sort of new Hall of Fame category. This would be one for the parents who raise aspiring athletes. Charlene, my wife, and I, and by that I mean mostly Charlene, have driven our 4 kids to literally hundreds of hockey, soccer, and cross-country practices, games, and tournaments just this year. And I think she should get some sort of consideration in that category. Can we work on that? Okay, thank you. Done. What else are you going to say? Great student athletes like you all have shown how the world, how college athletics done right, the way you did them at North Central, help students mature into responsible, impressive citizens and leaders. While you were here, you achieved great things in your chosen sports while carrying a full academic load and without Division I style athletic scholarships. And you competed at the highest levels. By doing that, you inspired all of us to push and challenge ourselves as well, and we're grateful for that. So today we celebrate you, not just what you have done, but the people who you were, that you are, and you will continue to be. Thank you to all of our new Hall of Fame members and their families, and all of you who have joined us this morning. Each and every one of you and your accomplishments continue to inspire us. Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. Your support of athletics and coaches on this campus is a huge impact to have a successful program. I've been around colleges and universities for a long time, this one for 32 years. Born and raised in Naperville, so I know a lot about North Central and the athletics and the history of athletics. And the leadership from the top that filters down through our coaches and the faculty is an incredible advantage that North Central has, and has a great impact over all these years. And I'm proud to be part of it. And it's exciting today to have 6 more going into the Hall of Fame. And let's get to it. First, our first honoree, Tim Elbrock. Let me say, it's just so you kind of know what's going to happen. I'm going to mention who it is, and then we're going to show a video, and then they'll come up and say a few words, and we'll give the coat. Just want to make sure, Tim, that you knew the sequence. So first, we're honoring Tim Elbrock, class of 1980, who played pro football after graduation, including 2 years with the Chicago Bears. As a letter winner in 4 sports, he holds the distinction of playing in a baseball doubleheader and participating in a track meet at the same time. And I must add, before we run the video, is I was at a competing college when Tim was a student here. I'm not going to say what college. And I was a football coach, assistant football coach. And every time we would play North Central, it would be like we'd put a big red circle around Elbrock, because was he going to be do something on the receiving end? Is he going to intercept the pass? Is he going to run the ball? And so from the first time I heard his name, I had a sense that there was a Hall of Famer in the making. Let's watch.
You really had to be a star among stars like Tim. I had to work at it. I was the sixth man, or the guy that worked hard. Tim was naturally talented, but I like to think that I helped make him that way before I broke my neck. But my dad and I liked to, I played my sports after I broke my neck through my brother. And I'm glad I did, because he is now actually one of my heroes.
Tim Elbrock developed a strong sense of independence after his older brother Tom suffered an accident and was left paralyzed when Tim was 13 years old. This independence would serve him well at North Central College. As a freshman, Elbrock lettered in basketball and even competed in a decathlon after only 10 days of preparation, learning 1 event per day. By his junior year, Elbrock had to make a choice: track and field or baseball. And while he chose baseball, the track team didn't quite let him go.
The track coach asked him to throw the javelin. Now, one meet that the baseball team and the track team were both home. So Milt Pappas let him take an inning off, and it must have been a non-conference game, because he could take the inning off and come back into the game. So he took an inning off, threw the javelin, came back and went back into center field.
Elbrock enjoyed his best baseball season in spring 1979, hitting .425 with 5 triples, 13 stolen bases, and 24 runs scored in just 25 games. Heading into his senior football season, he once again demonstrated his athletic versatility by earning honorable mention All-CCIW status at defensive back and second-team honors as a return specialist. Once his collegiate career concluded, Elbrock put his considerable energy to a singular focus in an effort to play professional football. His efforts paid off in 1981, when he was offered a 2-year contract as an undrafted free agent with the Chicago Bears.
Here's the throw. Nice grab. Great catch. Elbrock.
And I'm so proud that he's being inducted. He really deserves it to this day. And I think he carries the Cardinal banner very well.
It is my pleasure to welcome Tim Elbrock to the Athletic Hall of Fame.
Wow. Going first. I think it's a good thing because I have no other speeches to live up to. And by the time the ceremony's over, you won't remember the mistakes I make. So. Instead of talking about my success here at North Central College, I want to spend some time that I do have here to thank all those that are responsible for my success. My incredible family. This isn't a good start. My coaches and my friends. My father passed away more than 20 years ago from cancer throughout our childhood. My father gave the best gift he can give to his kids. He gave us his time. This is going to be longer than 7 minutes. He'd go out in the field with my brother and me, pitch baseballs, play catch. He coached us in Little League Baseball, Park District Basketball. He attended all our sporting events. He's the person responsible for getting me interested in so many different sports. He taught me how to work hard and instilled in me an intense competitive spirit. My mother, Helen, is here today. She'll be 80 years old next year. She's the strongest woman I ever met. She had to look after my sister Tammy, who was mentally handicapped and was never able to talk. Tammy passed away 33 years when she was 33 years old. My brother Tom was paralyzed from a neck down in a diving accident when he was 16 years old. My mother, my brother moved in with my family 7 years ago, and my mother continues to take care of my brother on a daily basis. She is the she is the reason that my brother has lived so long. Most people in his condition don't live half that long. My mother taught me about hard work, perseverance, and sacrifice. I hope you know how much you're loved and how much we appreciate all the sacrifices you've made throughout your life. Those were the easy ones. Whew. My brother Tom, who you saw in the video, has been confined to a wheelchair for the past 43 years. You've been my inspiration, my biggest supporter, and my best friend. For every challenge you have faced in my life, you've made them seem so insignificant in comparison to what you face every day of your life. Thank you for always being there for me. One of the reasons that I chose NCC was so that my brother and parents could watch me play sports. My wife, Suzanne, has stood by me for 27 years of our marriage. We have been through so many difficult times together, and she's always been there for support. You are the love of my life, and I can't thank you enough for all you've done for me and our extended family, your extended family. We have two beautiful daughters, Brooke Lynn and Samantha Lee, who are here. They're everything a dad could ask for and more. Samantha recently graduated from Arizona State. She has traveled all over the world in her studies over the past 4 years. With her vast knowledge she gained in college, she is ready to make the move into the business world. Soon, I hope. Brooke and my son-in-law, Brandon, have blessed us with 3 grandsons, Liam, Lucas, and Logan. My wife and I had 2 girls, so I finally will get the opportunity to coach some boys in the near future. Brooke is a great daughter, wife, and mother, and I'm proud of all she's accomplished. My sister Tina lives in California and couldn't be here today. I know she would want to be here. But her and her 3 boys, my nephews, Matthew, Daniel, and Samuel, were all over here from California over the summer, and my sister plans on coming back in November. So I know she's here in spirit. Also here today is my closest friend, Wade Allison. I included him with my family because he's meant so much to all of us. Wade has helped my family through many, many tough, difficult times, and I truly thank him for his friendship. We have known each other for over 40 years, and I value the friendship and support. Growing up in Homewood, Illinois, was incredible. Our neighborhood had dozens of kids. Our next door neighbor, the Dolans, had 9 kids. The Chisholms down the street had 9 kids. The News around the block had 11 kids. There were the Goffs, the Canners, Mike O'Neill, and too many more to list. We didn't have travel baseball or AAU basketball, or hitting coaches or organized year-round programs. We played pickup games all summer long and every day after school. There were so many participants that you had to learn to compete or risk the chance of not getting picked to play. It was through these friends that I became so competitive and got better at so many different sports. The competition and the camaraderie with all these great friends are the best memories of my life. I made a few friends along the way at North Central as well. Gary Christian, Mike Hall, Mike Jakovich. I gotta say Nick Zek because he's always around and always texting me. And he's a big part of the college, so Nick Zek too, I'll put you in there. They all played such a big role in my success here. Gary Christian convinced me to come to school here because I backed out of going to the Air Force Academy a week before I was supposed to report. Gary Christian, Dan Arico, and John Van Dyke had to convince the baseball coach to keep me and not cut me from the baseball team. Jake, Mike Jakovich, was one of the best running backs the school has ever had in the history of the school, which is one of the reasons that we never threw the ball. During my 4 years here, in fact, we had a host of great running backs, Billy Schuprit, Bill Motzer, and Jake, made throwing the ball a rare occurrence. Mike Johnston, a year older than me, Mike Gaspari, 3 years older than me, were both great receivers at NCC when I arrived, and they made me a better player, having to compete for a spot and for playing time every day in practice. Finally, there was Jim Walkenheim. He was 3 years older than me. Coach Carius put him in charge of teaching me the 10 events and the decathlon in 10 days. It was not an easy task. I think he asked Al if he could quit several times because I would question everything he was trying to teach me. Jim was also the one that taught me a plyometric program that helped me drop my 40-yard dash time from a 4.65 to a 4.45 and put 6 inches on my vertical jump in just 6 weeks. He's the reason I ever had a chance to play in the NFL, and I'm forever grateful to him. I don't know if I speak for my fellow inductees, but we always look back and we think what it would be like to play on a bigger stage in front of tens of thousands of spectators on national television covered by major media. While writing this speech, I had the chance to reflect on all the things I would have missed out on if I hadn't gone to school here. If I hadn't attended NCC, I would not have played more than one sport or experienced the benefits of small class sizes with outstanding professors that knew your name and were interested in what you did. Instead, I would have been a faceless name, lost in the crowd of 200 students in a lecture hall taught by grad assistants. If I didn't attend the school, I would not have had the opportunity to be coached by Lloyd Krumloff, who was my receiver coach for 4 years, and someone who looked after me in so many times, difficult times that I had. I want to finally give thanks to Coach Al Carius. Coach Carius was the most influential man in my life. That's saying a lot because I was fortunate enough to be coached by the late George Allen, Marv Levy, and of course Mike Ditka. Al made me understand that the only reason you play sports is for the love of the game. He inspired me to play with passion and enjoy the game itself, not the outcome. He convinced me to try other sports. I got back into teaching after 22 years in the business world because he inspired me to pass along his message to the next generation of student athletes. Over the past year, I've coached my daughter's travel softball, high school baseball. I was the assistant track coach for 3 years, the head track coach for 2 years, and I coached high school football for 5 years, including 2 8A state championship teams. Uh-oh. There better be one more page here. Wow, I would have had to start all over. Wow. I should have started with jokes, then I wouldn't have been emotional up here. I gave up coaching several years ago to train wide receivers with my close friend Jeff Christensen with his Throw It Deep Football Academy. We work with grade school, high school, college, and professional quarterbacks and receivers. This summer, we were privileged to bring our training principles to Larry Fitzgerald, Dwayne Bowe, Cecil Shorts, Michael Floyd, and Kyle Rudolph from the NFL. Our mission is to help all of our athletes reach their full potential as I did, athletically and academically, but more importantly, to help them be better young men. In closing, I'd like to thank the selection committee for this great honor. There are many great athletes that have passed through this institution and many more to follow. With a world so focused on specialization, I doubt if many that follow will follow in my footsteps and have the opportunity to participate in so many different activities. I'd also like to express my appreciation to all of you that came out here to listen to other inductees and had to listen to me. Thank you so much. It's an honor I will cherish the rest of my life.
Thanks, Tim. That was great. Great way to start a relay. Next, we'll recognize the career of Dan Mueller, class of 1983, winner of 8 CCIW championships and 6 All-America honors in swimming.
A role model in and out of the pool, Dan Mueller is one of the most decorated competitors in the history of the North Central College men's swimming program. As a freshman, Mueller won CCIW championships in the 200-yard backstroke, 400-yard individual medley, or IM, and 500-yard freestyle events to earn the CCIW's Most Valuable Swimmer honors. He then placed second in the 200 IM, fourth in the 400 IM, and fifth in the 200 backstroke at the NCAA Division III championships.
He swam everything. He actually had one of the more difficult events. He was national runner-up 3 times in the 200 individual medley. So to do the IM, where you're doing all 4 strokes, is really hard. And that's probably the most taxing event that there is outside of the greatest longest distance, but then you build up that aerobic capacity anyway. That one's hard to switch from, backstroke to freestyle to butterfly to breaststroke and so on. But he was a great competitor and a great swimmer.
A team player, Mueller never said no to helping out whenever he could. During one dual meet with Wheaton College, head coach Dennis Rhyne asked Mueller to compete against 2 of Wheaton's best swimmers.
And Dan said, yeah, I'll do it. And sure enough, he stepped up and he beat both those guys who were both All-Americans, and Dan never really swam that particular 100-yard event.
As a senior, he once again earned CCIW Most Valuable Swimmer honors after winning the 200 and 400 IM, as well as the 200-yard butterfly. At that year's national meet, he again earned All-America honors with a 7th place finish in the 200 IM. Mueller graduated as North Central's record holder in the 200 IM, 500 freestyle, 200 backstroke, and 200 butterfly, and remains the program's record holder in the 400 IM.
He really, and still today, is a very humble individual who never cared about the personal accolades. He doesn't brag upon it. And I know it sounds cliche, but it was true. He really just cared about, the sport.
Dan could not be with us today because of a prior commitment, but we're really proud to induct him into the Athletic Hall of Fame, and Jim Miller will make sure he'll get his coat and his medal. Now I'd like to introduce Andre Coleman, class of 1994, a 10-time All-American in track and field, His performances as a senior helped North Central achieve a national title in track and field that year. But he also remembers having a lot of fun along the way.
Andre Coleman's drive to succeed and his tough competitive spirit led him to becoming one of the most decorated athletes in the history of the North Central College men's track and field program.
When I say a tough competitor, he didn't want to lose, and he wanted everyone to take training for a track as seriously as he did. So if he was in the weight room, he expected you to be in the weight room. If he was on the track, he expected you to be on the track. If he was practicing handoffs or practicing starts, he wanted you to be practicing handoffs and starts. He wanted not only to be the best, but he wanted everyone around him to be the best as well.
As a junior, he earned his first All-America honors in the 200 and 400 meter dashes, as well as the indoor and outdoor 1600 meter relays. He also won the 200 and 400 and the 400 and 1600 meter relays at the CCIW Championships to earn Most Outstanding Performer honors. He repeated as champion in the same 4 events at the 1994 CCIW Championships, setting a still-standing meet record of 21.1 seconds in the 200.
He did run for fun and personal best, but like I said, in doing that, running for fun and personal best, he had a heavy emphasis on best.
Coleman's determination to win played a lead role in the Cardinals' 4 straight CCIW team championships and the 1994 Outdoor National Crown, won on North Central's home track, his final meet.
He was definitely a role model, not only for the athletes who came after him, but for everyone who was on the same year or even older than him, setting high goals, having lofty expectations, challenging everyone on the team to do better, and not just challenging people to do better, but giving them a pat on the back and congratulating them when they did reach those goals.
It is my pleasure to welcome Andre Coleman to the Athletic Hall of Fame.
Wow, it's hard to believe it's been almost 20 years since I last competed. First, I want to thank Ed Rhyne for his inspiring comments. Ed was a team member of mine, and he still runs competitively today. And I admire his passion for competing now, just as I did 20 years ago. So thank you, Ed. I also want to thank the Hall of Fame selection committee members who felt that my athletic career was worthy of such outstanding recognition. I feel deeply honored and privileged. Thank you. For 4 years, I had the opportunity to train and compete with just countless number of athletes who, just like I did, had a strong passion for winning, for competing, and for running. And I was so fortunate to be in that environment. We had so much fun. And winning was just a byproduct of us just training hard and just really bonding. But I do want to take a few moments to say a few special thanks to athletes some of the athletes and my team members who had the biggest impact on making my running experience rewarding, fun, and many times record-breaking. Thank you, Ed Ryan, Joel Beatty, Brian Johnson, Mike Brinley, David Jones, Gail Van Rossum, Harold McCad, and Gerald McCad. Finally, I want to thank my parents I'm so fortunate that they can be here today. Your belief and support of my academic and athletic career has made this special moment possible. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Andra. Our next honoree is Amanda Talley, class of 2001. We can thank Coach K for being, quote unquote, refreshingly blunt in their first meeting. Yeah, shockingly. Refreshingly blunt in their first meeting because that helped recruit Amanda to campus. She was part of the first ever trip to nationals for the softball program, an accomplishment that still sparks wonderful memories for her and her teammates.
A clutch player and a strong competitor, Amanda Talley's 4 years on the North Central College softball team occurred during the most successful run in the history of the program.
If you look at statistics, she's number one in hits, at bats, runs batted in, which again comes back to that definition of being a clutch player. She knocked home the runs when you really needed them.
A starter in the Cardinals' middle infield from the very beginning, Talley became the third North Central player to earn all CCIW honors each of her 4 years on the team, and remains the only player in the program's history to earn all region accolades from the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association. Talley was voted the CCIW's Player of the Year as a sophomore in 1999, and as a senior set the current North Central single-season record for runs batted in the same year, and established the current records for hits and games played. But it was her attitude off the field that really made her stand out.
She's a very wonderful person. I think she was a very caring person. One of the things that always stood out about me when I was recruiting her and went to see her play, after the game, she went around in the stands and thanked all the spectators that were there that day and shook hands with them. And that left a big impression upon me because that's the kind of people that you want in a program.
The Cardinals' career leader in hits, runs batted in, and at-bats, Talley was instrumental in a period of unparalleled success for the Cardinals program. The team compiled 136 victories, 3 CCIW championships, and North Central's first ever trip to the NCAA Division III National Championships, where the Cardinals posted a 5th place team finish in 2001.
You know, in terms of the success of the program, she had a large part to do with that. Her play was outstanding, not only at the bat, but in the field. She made routine plays, and that is an important part of any team, is to be able to make the routine play. And, you know, I think she inspired others because she was able to get them to rally for the sake of the cause.
It's my pleasure to welcome Amanda to the Athletic Hall of Fame.
Of course I would do that. First of all, I gotta say that I feel very humbled and honored to be sharing the stage with such accomplished athletes as these. I'm not really someone who's ever been comfortable with recognition, but I'm very excited and grateful that North Central chose to honor me in this way. With that being said, I do feel strongly that I would not be receiving this honor if I had not been surrounded by the exceptional group of players who were my teammates. The core players of our teams from 1997 to 2001 are all in the NCC record books in one category or another. Betsy Dwyer, our second baseman for career putouts, Janine Keka-Wange, our first baseman for fielding percentage, Tracy Morris Bywater, our catcher, and Megan Thomas Carney, one of our outfielders, both for career sacrifices, Jamie Hankus, another outfielder and all-region player and member of the 100 Hit Club, and Jen Hill Melvin, our third baseman, for most bases stolen in a season. And as the old saying goes, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And I feel like our teams were so successful because we didn't have any weak links. So thank you guys. I just wanted to recognize and thank them for the tremendous part they played in me standing up here today. So thanks, guys. And then of course, thank you. Stop crying or I will. And then of course there's Coach K, our fearless leader, and despite being made to do hundreds of sit-ups for saying yeah instead of yes to him, I'd still like to thank him for his leadership. and the lessons he taught me. Also, he does a fairly good impression of Robert De Niro, which was pretty entertaining, so thanks for that, Coach. Coach K has worked hard to develop a first-rate softball program here, and I'm proud to have played even a small part in building the program to what it has become today. The two words that come to mind when I think of my time playing under Coach K are respect and discipline. Thanks to my parents, I was already a pretty respectful person coming into college, but Coach K really reinforced the importance of respect in all areas of one's life. He commanded respect from his players, but also instilled in us that we had the ability to command respect from our opponents as well. Coach always intertwined life lessons with his coaching, and being confident in your abilities while respecting those around you is one of the lessons that really solidified in me during my time here at North Central, and which I continue to apply to my life today. And as far as discipline goes, before I came to North Central, I wasn't necessarily an overly disciplined person. Sports always just came kind of naturally to me, and I didn't work overly hard at being successful at them. But Coach K really hammered it into us to become students of the game. And I never had really thought of it that way before, but I believe that becoming a student of the game is what really took me to the next level in my softball abilities. Playing under Coach K and my overall experience as a student athlete taught me that remaining disciplined and following through on even the smallest of things can mean the difference between success and failure, or even worse, mediocrity. Whether it was backing up a throw, or laying down a bunt, or just paying attention to Coach's signs, it's performing these small tasks all together that make a huge difference. And of course, last but not least, I'd like to thank my mom and my dad, who's no longer with us, for being my biggest fans and always supporting me. My dad taught me how to throw when I was 3 years old, so that, in his words, I wouldn't throw like a girl. And thanks to him, I definitely don't. And my mom tirelessly and cheerfully packed years and years worth of coolers full of snacks and drinks, and sacrificed her summers to haul clear across Tarnation to softball tournaments to cheer me on, and of course to feed me. She still does that pretty well. I also feel extremely blessed to have the kind of parents who supported me unconditionally with positivity, and who let my coaches do their jobs, never butting in to campaign on my behalf for more playing time or a different position. Sports has always just been a part of my family. One of the earliest sports memories I have is of watching Cubs games with my grandpa at my grandpa's house. He's here today. And laughing as he would inevitably get disgusted by the Cubs and shut off the TV mid-game. I'm still surprised that Coach K recruited me, being a Cubs fan and all. But he took every opportunity he could to point out the error in my choice of teams. Anyway, I certainly wouldn't be receiving this honor today if it weren't for the love and support of my family. And at the risk of sounding juvenile, I've got to say that in looking back on my time as a North Central softball player, the most meaningful part of the experience has been the lifelong friendships that I've formed with my teammates. If I had to give this speech at the end of my softball career 13 years ago, I may have thought differently. I probably would have. But, I may have mentioned winning the conference tournament, or being named Conference Player of the Year, or finishing 5th in the nation as being the most meaningful parts. But while those things were thrilling at the time and are impressive accomplishments, what I'm most grateful for is this group of strong women who continue to challenge, encourage, and inspire me. It's hard to believe, but 5 of us still play on the same slow pitch, co-ed slow pitch team each fall. It's pretty impressive, really. We have the only all-girl infield in the league, and it just happens to be the exact same infield from our 2000 North Central team. Yeah. It's a lot of fun to still be able to play with my old teammates. We retell our college stories over and over, and they never seem to get old. Like the time on a silent, pitch-black ride home from Augustana, a loss to Augustana, when I happened to get stuck in Coach K's van, where everybody knows, current players, that the best thing to do after a loss is to remain completely silent. Well, in an attempt to cheer up one of my teammates, who had gotten a particularly rough tongue lashing from Coach K after the game, I let out a super loud, high-pitched woo to everyone's horror at how Coach might respond. Well, he said nothing and drove on, lucky for me, either because he couldn't figure out who it was or probably because he was too angry to speak. At any rate, I'm sorry about that, Coach. But I'm glad it cheered you up, Tracy. Or the time when our second baseman, Betsy Dwyer, learned for the first time the phrase, "Heavens to Betsy," during an impassioned post-game lecture by Coach K, who was neither trying to be ironic by using Betsy's name, nor amused at her sudden burst of laughter upon hearing it. Those are just a couple of about 1,000 stories we relive on a regular basis, and I wouldn't trade my time making those memories for anything in the world. I guess I never would have imagined that these teammates would still be a big part of my life so many years later. And it amazes me every time we get together at the quality of character in this group of women. I thank God for each of you and look forward to making many more ridiculous memories in the years to come. Thank you guys all for being here to support us, and thank you North Central for including me in the illustrious list of Hall of Famers. I truly am grateful.
Congratulations, Amanda. Thank you. No crying in softball. That was amazing. That was great. Next, I'd like to introduce Amanda Orsburn, class of 2002. Again, it was a coach who influenced her to attend North Central College, Linda Olson. Amanda went on to become one of the basketball program's most honored players. And I remember watching her playing basketball, and every time I watched, and I didn't know Amanda that well, but I would watch her play. And if any of you watched Brenda Sanders play in the 1980s when we won our national titles, I thought it was the same person. And if they were ever on the court together, they would have left nobody else on the court because of the way they played. And in her free time, she served as a goalkeeper for the women's soccer team.
Well, my first recollection of Amanda was at a basketball game, not surprising, but when she was a freshman in high school, and went to a game and did not really know anything about her. But after about 3 minutes, I can remember turning to a friend of mine that was beside me there, and just turning and going, I said, "Who is that?" You know, because it was obvious as a freshman. I mean, she just stood out and was so aggressive and was dominating everybody.
Amanda Orsburn took that dominance to North Central College, where she had one of the most decorated careers in the history of the women's basketball program. Orsburn cracked the starting lineup midway through her freshman season before emerging as one of the top players in the CCIW as a sophomore when she was named to the All-CCIW first team.
She was so determined to be better than everybody else. And that, you know, that's what separated her apart. Obviously, she had some athletic ability, but it was what she had taken in here, and she was not going to let you beat her. No way, no how.
As a junior, she again made the All-CCIW first team and set a North Central single-season record with 203 free throws attempted. Orsburn even completed an internship with her high school basketball team.
When Amanda would say, you know, well, here's how you use your footwork to get yourself better position, or here's a move that worked well for me, you know, and she would take them out on the floor and show them. I mean, it's instant credibility.
Orsburn capped off her career with an even more impressive senior campaign, setting single-season records for free throws made and attempted, while also establishing North Central's current single-game scoring record with a 39-point effort against Carthage College. She was named the CCIW's Player of the Year following her senior season, making her one of only 2 players in the North Central program to be so honored.
If I was picking a team today and she was standing there in the lineup, Amanda would be my first choice, just because I know what she can do.
It is my pleasure to welcome Amanda Orsburn to the Athletic Hall of Fame.
After seeing the other videos here, I'm kind of surprised I'm up here. There's a bear on the stage with me. That's so cool. It's unbelievable. This is going to be pretty brief, but I do have a lot of people to thank for me being here today. First of all, my teammates deserve a lot of the credit for my success. Basketball is truly a team sport. You know, there's 5 people out there working as a unit on both offense and defense. And as a forward, you're not scoring a lot of points if guards aren't constantly feeding you the ball or other post players setting screens. And even the gals that never really got into a game but showed up every day at practice and pushed you to make you better. I just had an amazing group of selfless teammates in my time here, and we weren't just teammates on the court, they were some of my best friends off the court. I still have a picture of Anna Fuller and I giggling about something the coach said after a timeout sitting in a frame at my house, and I smile every time I look at it. I don't have time to mention all of them, but everyone was important in their own way, and I hope that they realize how much I appreciate them. I, of course, want to mention the coaching staff. Like most coaches at the school, Linda Olson and her staff really cared about their players. It was about much more than just the number of wins we got. If we fell out of line in any way, grades, parties they heard we were at, attitude, whatever, they'd be the ones to straighten us out. And I'm sure that dealing with the ego of the teenage version of me wasn't the easiest thing to do, but they took that task on without fail, and frankly, I'm not sure I would have graduated if they hadn't. She was also very quick to go to bat for you, and when all was said and done, she sang the praises of her players louder than anyone. And I appreciate that a lot more now than I think I did at the time. I also want to give a big time shout out to Heidi Matthews in the athletic training department, one of the most overlooked group of people at this school. I came from a very small school called Serena, and I had really bum ankles right from the start. And when I had rolled an ankle in high school, the extent of the athletic training was pretty much them saying, "Can you play?" And if you could play, you did. And if you couldn't, you were on crutches until you deemed yourself okay to play. When I came my freshman year, I thought it was so silly to be in the athletic training room for every little thing. But by sophomore year, I was completely over it and spent countless hours there complaining about the littlest things, blisters, sore muscles, just whining constantly if they made me ice those ankles, because that's the worst torture of all time. And they put up with a lot, so thank you, Heidi. And then last, my family. My parents, Leroy and Connie Orsburn, and my brother Chris are all here today. And long before anyone at North Central had to deal with my obsession with basketball, they did. Whether it was driving down to Decatur on a Wednesday to see me play Milliken, which no one wants to go to Decatur for anything. You know, picking me up from practice, listening to just irrational emotional fits when I lost the game, and I'm not just talking about grade school here. They did it, and they did it without question, without a smile, or with a smile. Well, sometimes probably without a smile. And I'm positive I didn't say thank you very often back then, so I want to say it now. Family just doesn't get much better than mine, so thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Finally, we want to honor one of North Central's coaching legends, the late Eggert Geary, class of 1948. He led the men's swim team to national prominence and also holds the distinction of achieving the college's first national championship as a coach back in 1958. Before we show this video, I wanted to share a couple of thoughts that we received from Larry Michelson, class of 1964 and a Hall of Fame swimmer here at North Central. Quote, Ed Geary, more than anyone, was responsible for the unique success of the swimming program at that time. On a personal note, this man took a chance on me, not only as a jock, but a salvageable human being at a time when I needed a helping hand. I would bet the farm that he offered the same assistance to countless other students throughout his career. Very few leave a lasting impression that stays with one for a lifetime. Ed Geary was one of a select few that has and will stay with me for my lifetime, unquote. Swatchewiti.
Dr. Geary was a man whose presence brought grace to so many of our lives, strength to our values, and purpose to the manner of our living. Calm, reasoning, wry, and above all, compassionate. Ed Geary reached out to each of us with human warmth, with enormous capacity for understanding. President Arlo Schilling, January 9th, 1969. Dr. Eggert Geary first came to North Central College as a freshman in fall 1942, but his academic career would be interrupted by a call to serve in the Army Air Corps during World War II. Geary returned to campus in 1946 and graduated in 1948, received a master's degree from Northwestern University and a PhD from the University of Washington. In 1954, he returned to the college as a political science professor and the Dean of Men. The following year, he took on the position of head coach of the Cardinal swimming team. He would become the first coach to guide a North Central team to a national championship in 1958, his first season with the program. North Central would repeat as national and CCI champs from 1961 through 1963. It was the golden age of swimming, and Geary would mentor two athletes, Dick Blick and Ruben Roca, through the Pan American Games in 1959. He then guided them as they headed to Rome for the 1960 Olympic Games, where Blick achieved the gold medal.
He was Dr. Geary, Coach Geary, who really trained us and got us going. He always wrote letters of encouragement, stayed in touch by phone. He was truly very inspirational.
Ruben Roca arrived at North Central College in 1958 after being recruited by Geary. Roca and his brother Rodolfo, who also attended North Central, had fled from Cuba after being involved in the revolution. Geary helped the Roca brothers get settled into life on campus, encouraged Ruben to seek out a career in economics, and was even instrumental in helping Roca's parents get out of Cuba.
Because my parents had to have a special permit to leave Cuba in '61, and he, working with a local doctor, Dr. Carducci, they sent a letter and a telegram. I have copies of the letter and the telegram saying that the parents had to come out for this very difficult operation that could only be performed while the parents were there, and they had to sign off on it. After the letter and the telegram, the Cuban government allowed my parents to come out.
Geary wore many hats while at North Central: coach, professor, dean, mentor, and friend. And through all of these positions, he impacted the lives of those around him. After a prolonged illness, Geary passed away on January 9, 1969. He was 44 years old. He was remembered by Dr. Richard Eastman as a man devoted in service to North Central College. I doubt if a fuller life were ever placed in the service of this college. Its devotion, its honor, its heroism are his very generous legacy to us. We should use it well.
He was a person that was really at the right place, at the right time in the cycle of my life and my brother and my family. He was extremely helpful in many, many, many ways to the Roca family. He was an incredible mentor. He was an absolutely terrific in the way in which he encouraged the students and the swimmers to improve themselves, and always had a positive frame about what he was doing.
It is now my pleasure to introduce a lifelong friend of mine from Naperville, Steve Geary, who will now speak on behalf of his late father, who had quite an impact at not only this college, but this community.
Wow, how do you follow up a video like that about one's father? Well, on behalf of the Geary family, and we have nearly our entire tribe here today. In fact, I'm going to embarrass all of you and ask you to stand. Everybody in the Geary tribe, just stand for a moment, please. The reason I do that is a little known fact about our father, my two brothers and mine, is that he was a German immigrant and came to this country when he was almost 8 years old. And an even lesser known fact, I don't think my brothers know this, his first name was really Gustav. It was Gustav III, and I'm forever grateful that he never felt compelled to make his firstborn Gustav IV. He went by his middle name, Eggert, and actually preferred to go by Ed. Never ashamed of his German heritage, but it just didn't fit what his role was here in the States. My dad was one of these bigger-than-life guys, and we still hear about it from time to time from some of the swimmers. I sense there's a number of swimmers here today as well, so thank you for coming and being a part of that. My dad was one also who was other-centered, and we can all reflect and think about people in our lives who are truly other-centered. It's a rare quality, and my dad was one who had that. And I think that's one of the qualities that made him such a wonderful father, a great professor, a good coach. That's where national championships come from. And as we listen to Ruben Roca, Ruben, with whom I was on the phone a few weeks ago, catching up a little bit, is just forever grateful for the role that our dad played, Dave and Scott, with bringing them here to America and helping them achieve their citizenship as well. But being an immigrant, I think he was able to relate to them. Cancer took him very early, as you saw in the video, and it was extraordinarily difficult for us to watch the effects of cancer take a man in his prime. And we look back on it, and we didn't realize it at the time, but God was sustaining us through that time. And we didn't know it at that time. We weren't looking for that then, but given where we are now, my brothers and me, my family, and our relationship with the Lord, we look back and realize that he was sustaining us even when we were not looking for it. So we praise him for that. My memories are childhood memories. And so there's not much that I can share during his coaching days, except I was a faculty brat. Being the oldest of the three brothers, my younger two brothers really never had an opportunity to hang out with these guys, but I grew up with Dick Blick and Ruben Roca and Jim Hickman and John Mazanin and all those guys as my older brothers. And I would come back from school and jump into that pool. That's my home pool. It always will be. And I'd be in there working out with these guys, fantasizing that I, too, was going to go to the Olympics one day. But two of the three of us competed on the North Central College swim team. My brother was a very good diver. I was a swimmer, but the guy in lane 8 all the time. I was literally the lane filler. I think given the name and the heritage, great things were expected of me. I just couldn't deliver. But it was a great time of growing up and seeing these guys. I didn't realize it, but when Dick Blick came back from Rome with the gold medal, and Ruben Roca won a bronze medal, by the way, but I held that gold medal in my hand, never realizing that that would be the only time in my life that I would see a gold medal and actually hold it in my hands. But he was like my big brother, so it wasn't any big deal at the time. Now I look back on it, and it's a huge deal. It seems like we never lost a meet, because I would go on these meets, and I just don't remember ever losing one. I'm sure my mind has filtered out the losses, but I just don't remember it. Our mom died last year. Otherwise, it would have been fun to share this honor with her. My folks met here at North Central College, and then my two brothers and I came through as well, and so we continued that tradition for another generation. My dad loved NCC. He loved this college. We had 2 opportunities to leave North Central College while he was active here. The first would have been a short-term leave. He was one of 2 finalists for a Fulbright scholarship, which would have put us in Innsbruck, Austria, where he would have taught for a year, and it would have been great because he could have taught his first love, political science, in his first language. But the other guy won it, and so we did not go. This was when I was in high school. And then I remember when University of Kentucky in Lexington made him an offer to come there and head up their political science department, and he really wrestled with it. And I remember the discussions between my dad and my mom about that, and my dad spoke openly with us at home about such matters. And he finally decided to stay here at North Central College, and the reason was that he decided, or just realized, that he would much rather teach than research and write. He ended up writing a book, but he passed away before it could be published. But his first love was the classroom and the students, and that won over what would have been a great opportunity with the University of Kentucky. But he truly loved North Central College, and that's why, on behalf of my family, I just want to thank everyone here, because this is just such a special day with a special recognition. Thank you for remembering my dad. Thank you.
Congratulations to the whole Geary family. And there's obviously a legacy tradition, so one of the grandkids or great-grandkids is going to have to decide to go to North Central College. This was terrific, so inspiring. I would just like you all to give one last applause for all of our new inductees today.